Call the meeting back to order.
Okay. I call tonight's meeting back to order. What time is it?
7:02.
7:02 PM. We're back in open session. Evan,
Roll call.
roll call first. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Trustee Francis?
Here.
Trustee Skiappa?
Here.
Trustee Pavesa?
Here.
Trustee Snyder?
Here.
Trustee Matal? Here. Trustee Smith?
Here.
Mayor Grasso?
Here. Evan, the floor is yours.
Point of order, Village Attorney, should we read the agenda item? We have 12A.
Yes, Mayor, you would announce that we're on item
Oh,
12A.
okay. Sorry, didn't even see it. We're on item 12, reconvene meeting. 12A, consideration to direct the village administrator to accept a letter of intent related to the sale of Village Hall, 7660 County Line Road. Evan?
Thank you, Mayor. So we're here tonight to discuss the consideration of a proposal from 814 Acquisitions from Michigan. 814 Acquisitions, on behalf of a daycare company, has submitted an LOI to the village to purchase Village Hall and the land that it sits on, excluding the Veterans Memorial. So there are 3 parcels at the Village Hall. One of them is on the Veterans Memorial. The 2 are on the Village Hall proper. The offer is to purchase the 2 northern parcels on which the Village Hall building sits. It's about 1.87 acres. 814 has submitted a non-binding letter of intent to the village dated September 10th to purchase the 1.87 acre piece of land with the building for $2.3 million. In net, the village would net $2.185 million from this sale due to the seller, as is customary in both residential and commercial development, due to the seller paying the fees of the broker for the deal. And in this case, the brokerage fees are 5%, making the net proceeds from the sale itself being $2.185 million. So again, $2,185,000. Again, the intent of this is to, and I'll put the elevation up on the screen. The intent, and this is a prototype, not to be considered final in any capacity, to build the N Family Club daycare. So the daycare is the use that would be considered as most binding here. A couple of shots here. Again, these are very prototypical. These are not final. These are just what was submitted to us as part of the LOI. As you can see, this here is for daycare of early childhood ages. This is not a K-8 public school or private school. This is a for young people only daycare. Daycare is listed as a special use in the T1 transitional district in which the Village Hall lies. And so in keeping with the idea that whatever leaves with the Village Hall should be really buildable, we feel like this has at least meets the spirit of the zoning ordinance in that it's already listed as a special use and we've already permitted special uses elsewhere in the T1 transitional district. Let me just very quickly pull up a map of the property again, just to make sure we're being extremely clear about what we're talking about. I apologize, I did not have this pulled up. Okay. So again, Village Hall is here, the pink tent or whatever that is. In effect, what we're doing here is we're saying, let me turn on the measure tool. This box here is what is under consideration. So we own the Veterans Memorial site, we own that piece of parking lot there. That will remain the village's heretofore. That is not part of any potential sale. To be clear, the only thing the board is considering tonight is to enter into a non-binding LOI. So we are in no shape or form entering into a final sale agreement tonight. What would have to happen at this point, should the board accept the LOI, is that the petitioner would then begin to work with staff to develop plans to go to the Plan Commission to receive zoning entitlement. Now, they may not get it. The Plan Commission and the board can make their own decision just on the zoning, and if they did not get zoning, then we couldn't execute the sale. So there's 2 tracks there, the zoning side and then finally the sales side. The LOI calls for a period of 30 days to, 120 days to do due diligence on the property and seek zoning entitlement, and then 30 to close should they receive it. So at minimum, we're talking about 5 months of lead time here. We're going into 2026 at this point. There'd be no less than 4 or 5 opportunities for the public to be aware of this and the like. But again, just want to close it out by saying that this highlighted portion, not the Veterans Memorial, is on offer from 814 Acquisitions for $2.3 million, netting out $2.185 million to the village. There are some additional fees that we'd be recouping through the subdivision process, such as permit fees, utility fees, subdivision fees, that would push our total net revenue of the sale to over $2.25 million, thus being over $250,000 to the good compared to our original budget we projected when we put together some of our initial feeling on the Village Hall development. Again, we projected to get $2 million from the sale. We're about 10 to 15% over that value based on this offer and the development in front of you. So with that, I'll yield it to you, Mayor. I'll be here to answer any questions
Sure.
about this at this
The
point.
due diligence, of course, gives the potential buyer, the right to look through the building and decide if there are things that need to be corrected, but that's not likely going to happen here because it's our understanding that the buyer intends to demolish the building, and so we're not going to worry about if there's a roof leak or a pipe burst or leaking, et cetera, et cetera. So that gives us even more security in this offer that it's rather real, at least so far. Is there a financing contingency?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Yeah, not that I.
That would be fleshed out in a purchase agreement,
Right.
but I don't know that they've indicated that they were in need
Not
of,
clearly, at least.
financing contingency.
Yeah, that's kind of what I read between the lines, but that could still arise. I want to be sure that the public has still got a lot of time to comment on this. I think there's a 120-day due diligence, as I said.
It's 120 days and then 30 days to close once it's accepted, but that's if it's accepted.
Let's just call it
be more
120 days.
Yeah.
Inspection period. During that 120 days, it should be enough time for us to continue to urge the public, if people want to speak to this issue, we put out as much information as we possibly can and answer as many questions. I'd ask you, trustees, to please keep me apprised of any communications you get on this issue so that we have the same message. We may have different questions about it, but we do want to have the same message out in answer to questions. So I'd ask you please to let me know what the questions are. Of course, you can answer them as you see fit, but I'd like to know what your answers are so that we're telling everybody the same thing, or at least the same theme, okay? Does anybody have any questions? Yes, Anita?
So the earnest money is $25,000, which is 1.08% of the purchase price, which is on the lower side because for whatever reason, if the deal falls through, then after 5 months, we are back to the drawing board and we've lost time. And we could, as Al pointed out, we would be starting that project assuming that we're going to get the money. I don't know what the traditional earnest money is, but I would think it would be more. I would say close to 2% of the price would be fair. I don't know, but it's worth exploring.
That's a good question. Yes, Tony?
So I see there's no exclusivity here, so we can maintain our marketing efforts.
That was part of the discussion was they wanted some flexibility in lieu of that happening.
What flexibility?
So you'll note, I think to your point, we had discussed that the inspection period calls for some earnest money that we put down, and a lot of it's non-refundable but applicable to the purchase price, so it wouldn't be coming off in any way. But we've talked about the idea of it being non-exclusive to your point, and that was left out by design. So if we were to get a $2.75 million offer or something like that, we could engage with them with no fault on our side.
Right, because this is a non-binding
Correct.
letter of intent.
Yeah, that's what a letter of intent, and if properly drafted, is not binding.
Yeah, well, actually, under the letter of intent, the parties' agreement, the purchase agreement needs to be fleshed out and then executed, because they'll make their deposit of the earnest money upon execution of the purchase agreement, and their 120-day inspection period becomes effective from the date of the purchase agreement. So we need to get the contract terms approved, and then that clock starts running, the earnest money deposit is made. If they extend the 120 days, the $25,000 additional earnest money deposit is non-refundable, but it goes against the purchase price. So we've got to have an agreement to after we approve this letter of intent, so.
And so what's the next step in starting to draft that agreement?
Just our office and the purchaser's attorney will exchange, contract forms.
Who drafts the purchase agreement? The buyer's attorney?
Typically, an offer is made on a contract form, so they can have the first go at it, but either or, we're gonna be involved, so.
Yeah, they would typically make the offer, to answer your question.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes, Joe?
I think this would be a great, to go through with this facility, because our residents, we had the gas station over on Route 83. We filled this room. Anytime a gas station comes in our area or facility, I really believe that our residents will come out and voice their opinions. And if we were to get an offer from a said gas station or something like that, to put one here, I think it would not be received as well as something like this, making Burr Ridge look what they want.
Yeah, I agree with you, Joe. I think that this is something I think we would feel very comfortable if this building had to be sold and demolished, that it be turned over for educational or daycare purposes. That would certainly set the tone for years to come for what is on the site. It's also educational in relation to the Veterans Memorial. I know Trustee Smith was concerned about the impact on as he should be, as a member of the committee. And he was expressing his concern to make sure that we have dominion over the Veterans Memorial, which we do, and the parking, which we do. That's why Evan showed you exactly what parcels we're speaking of. So right now, very optimistic. It's certainly well above the 1.8 appraisal. I would think that the inspection period is really a time to inspect this building, since they're going to just probably inspect it to how to take it down. And there probably is going to be some environmental that's in every site. So I'm also encouraged that deal's likely to go through, because they're not worried about the condition of this building.
The 120 days is really for the zoning primarily. I mean, they need a special use, so. And I believe that the purpose of the letter of intent was simply to lock in a purchase price. You had the opportunity to go into closed session and discuss that, as opposed to them just willy-nilly submitting a contract with, let's say, a lower price, and then that could be rejected. By voting on this, you're pretty much saying, this is the price that we're willing to sell this property at for this user.
Okay, so this is step one. Yes, Guy?
One question and then two topics I'd like to talk about.
Sure.
So what you're saying, Mr. Village Attorney, is that the purchase price would be contingent, or the purchase would be contingent upon special use approval at some point?
Yes.
Okay.
The purchase agreement, the contract will have this inspection period contingency in it, not just in the letter of intent, but that'll be a contract clause
Okay,
also.
so that leads into my first topic of discussion, and that this building falls into the T1 transitional zoning district that runs up and down County Line Road, transitional zoning. And one of the elements of that transitional zoning district is a residential character of commercial buildings. If you look at the police station, the MPS Loraya Financial Planners, the Kensington offices to the north, the former funeral home, those all have residential characters. And this rendering that was submitted, I see a warehouse look, I see a Butler building look, a pre-engineered building look. So I think we need to get up front on day one and say that if they purchase the property, and if they demolish the existing building, and if they put up a new building, it would have to have residential character conforming to the T1 transitional district and go through the plan commission process for that approval.
Right, I think that's a very good point. And of course, I would hope that they would want to make it look as residential as possible if they're going to use it for.
Well, that's not what the rendering shows.
Right, no,
So I want to get up front.
understand what you're saying.
And get that on board up front. And second, I'd like staff to put together a timeline, a timeline for the sale of this building and marry that to the timeline for the construction of the new village hall and see how those align. Because I want to make sure that we're not booted out of this building if we sell this building, and we're not booted out, we have no place to go for 9 months or a year.
I think that would be a contract term also that will
I think
negotiate.
that's been discussed, hasn't it?
So there's two ways of doing it. Yes, you can have it where we have it contingent on us moving out. That's option one. Option two is it's contingent on we go when you're ready or go when you're approved. If it turned out to be option two, we've already discussed where would we go, and we feel like for a short period of time, we could move somewhere else and still stay afloat. Wouldn't want to do it permanently, but we have at least considered that contingency because there would be some time between, and I don't know exactly how much time to your question, between a theoretical approval of this and a theoretical construction opening across the street.
I'd like to see that
Yes.
timeline, start analyzing that, so.
Yep.
And then we can address what options or what alternatives we need to plan for. This purchaser may want to demolish the day after they close.
Correct.
We don't know.
We've talked about that contingency, and we will answer that question.
We'll make sure we get a couple of days at least,
Yeah.
but a couple of weeks to move out, so.
I'm thinking of the architect and the work that they're doing for the addition next door, and 90 days out for plans. There's approvals involved. We wouldn't be breaking ground until next spring.
Correct.
And figure a year for construction?
Correct.
Okay, so that puts us in spring of 2027 before we would move in. Now, before we be ready to move over there.
Correct.
And this building may be demolished before that, so I'd like to see a timeline
Absolutely.
for both parcels.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes,
Just in kind of regards to what trustee Francis was talking about with contingencies, pretend the designs come in, everything looks good, but then we start getting bids on the new village hall. And by chance, they're exceeding what we had expected. Are we able, as a village, to at least have contingencies to back out of the contract that is currently on our table?
I'm sure something like that could be negotiated.
It can be a term
Yeah.
that would require the purchaser's consent to that, so that's a possibility. I don't know if that's going to be a reality.
I mean, we don't have any designs, I mean, it's a lot of discussion, it's a lot of guessing about how much that village hall will cost. But if by chance it's exceeding what we even ever thought of, it would be nice to have a contingency to at least maybe back out. The other thing, Mary, you brought up about the Veterans Memorial, thank you. A couple other keys about the memorial: water supply and electrical. That probably needs to be somewhere in there as far as allowing us to have those features for the
So-
memorial.
So if everyone's aware, the water and the electrical for that is currently supplied by this building, and we're already working to design how we would move it across the street, drill onto the street. It sounds complex, but it really is not that challenging to do. So we would move that across the street by tapping into the water main or by running pipe. We've already got pipe running between the two for our IT needs, so we feel like we could readily do that and supply those needs.
Good, thank you.
yeah, and just commenting, I mean, one of the reasons we went with Leggett is that of their history and their track record, and it would be out of character for them to come forward with the designs that we're coming forward with, and then suddenly we go out to bid and the prices are way out of line. That's not why we hired them. So it's a little better than guesswork. It's not guesswork. It is estimates, so there's no certainty. I agree with you there. But I think you can feel comfortable that possibility, as council said, well, a possibility is not very likely. The timing is really my concern, our concern, making sure that we can smoothly leave here and get in there without too much disruption. And I think we'll probably have a little contest for the staff to see who earns the right to push down the plunger to blow up the building.
Well, there is going to be a delay between when you have to move out of here and when you can move in there. I think we pretty much discussed that, Evan and I, about there's gonna be a time period where they're gonna want possession, and that building's not gonna be completed across the way. And where are you going?
Yeah, I think the only thing I'll say is the board is raising very good questions, and staff we're not unaware of these realities. We're aware that there are some issues with this building. We are aware that there may be better ROI from going across the street, but we are also aware that there are some unanswered questions at this point, and that's where having good cadence of process, you've talked about having special meetings to further discuss this process, all good things. There always is something we could think of that we haven't thought of or could do better. I just want everyone to think and know that these are good questions that I want to hear, because many heads make for light work in this type of thing, and we want to make sure we're doing this at a pace that the community supports and can absorb. So I welcome all these things. These are great perspectives to bring forward, and it helps staff do our job more effectively for the community. So thank you for doing that.
And I would add that you've started the process by having Leggett come on board now, instead of waiting until you had a signed contract, or a closing would be even worse. So you're talking about having a zoning contingency, and that's gonna take some time. But in the meantime, work on getting a design is going on already, so.
We started this process, what, 6 months, 8 months ago? Going through, it's over a year. We said, this building's falling down, we gotta look at this, and we really invested the time. We looked at the numbers.
We started in 2006, but
No, that's, well, it's been on my plate for a while.
I have it
It's nice to see
2021.
this. I really think that the numbers, you really went through and said, look, here's what we have in the capital fund and all the rest of the funds. Even this way, that way, you had contingencies in place. So I think that both you and Mr. Administrator, Mr. Mayor, you guys done a good job on that.
No, and I'll just say that, we've had some good discussion with the architects. Trustee Smith, you've brought up, can we share offices? We're going to continue to look at that. We've talked about parking sharing and how do we do those things. We don't want to bring forth a product that is anything more than we need and or meets the community's goals. And I think the board is the representatives of that. So, we're not trying to build too small a facility, but we are saying that, there are examples that we're currently using to share offices that we want to reflect more accurately in the plan. And so if we feel good about our number today, I feel like the number's only going to get better if we sharpen our pencil through the design process. So right now, I feel very good. I think this is a good offer to start with. Again, start is the right word. The board had directed me a while ago to, this project was really contingent on the sale, and I think we've got a good offer to start with. And I would advise we accept it and move forward and just see where it goes.
offer in the sense of an LOI. Okay.
Letter of intent.
Are we done with questions? Yes, Tony?
I just want to confirm the cadence of the letter of intent. So they want us to sign the purchase agreement. So we have to go back and forth, negotiate a purchase agreement.
They want us to sign the letter of intent, which is
Yes.
non-binding, which would initiate
once
the
this is
lawyers
signed-
getting together to put together a purchase agreement, which we would want to move as fast as possible.
Then, when we sign the purchase agreement, that's when their due diligence starts.
120 days starts then, yes.
Okay.
120 days from the effective date of the purchase agreement. So
Okay.
that's when the parties sign, so,
Party signed, we get earnest money.
yes.
Okay. And that's normal?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
amount.
they're not gonna be able to do a zoning application generally unless they have,
The purchase
you know,
agreement.
a purchase
Okay.
agreement in hand,
Yeah,
so.
all right.
Hence my request for the timelines.
Yep.
Bing,
Yep.
bing, bing.
And we have some other thoughts on the timeline consistent with what you brought up, but I'm not willing to, they're still here, and so if we can solidify it better in this whole process, I'll bring that forward also.
I will update the Village Hall page and the packet tomorrow, because of some of this was in closed session, wasn't on the packet, so just so the public's aware and you want to look more through this, this will be up tomorrow on the website.
Okay. All right. With that, can I get a motion to direct the village administrator to accept a letter of intent related to the sale of Village Hall, 7660 County Line Road?
So moved.
Second.
I have a movement, a second. Any discussion at the board level? Roll call, please.
No public
Oh,
present for
right.
public discussion.
Thank you for that. Any public comment? I didn't say that because there's nobody here in the room. Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Skiappa?
Yes.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Paveza?
Yes.
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
Trustee Matal?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
6-0.
6-0.
6-0, the motion passes. That takes us to item 13, adjournment. Can I get a motion to adjourn to October 13, 2025 at 6:30 PM?
Second.
Second.
A move it, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.
Bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to Energy Star light bulbs, and you'll realize just how much cash you were really burning through.